Hi, Theo and Charlie. Today I have this book to read you. It is called Harold and the Purple Crayon. It is by Crockett Johnson. This is this book that I used to read in my classroom at school. I hope you enjoy it. I really like it. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. And here's Harold. You notice he has a purple crown with him. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight. And he needed something to walk on. So there he is with his purple crayon. Look, he created the moon, and he's created somewhere for him to walk. He made a long, straight path so he wouldn't get lost. And he set off on his walk, taking his big purple crayon with him. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on that long, straight path. So he left the path for a shortcut across a field, and the moon went with him. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made a very small forest with just one tree in it. It turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, when they got red. So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terribly frightening dragon. Oh, look at that dragon. Do you think he's going to do a good job guarding the apples? He does look rather scary, doesn't he? It even frightened Harold. He backed away. His hand holding the purple crayon shook. Suddenly, he realized what was happening. But by then, Harold was over his head in the ocean. Harold is having a good time with this purple crayon, isn't he? He came up thinking fast, and in no time he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. Look how he turned that boat right into a sailboat. After he had sailed long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. If you were Harold, where would you be? The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and the thought of picnics made him very hungry. So he laid out a nice, simple picnic lunch. There was nothing but pie, but there were all 9 kinds of pie that Harold liked best. I bet your mom and dad will like this book because we know they like pie. When Harold finished his picnic, there was quite a lot left. He hated to see so much delicious pie go to waste. What do you think he's going to do? Does this give you a hint? So Harold left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up, and off he went looking for a hill to climb to see where he was. I love how he did the porcupine. Harold knew that the higher up he went, the farther he could see, so he decided to make the hill into a mountain. If he went high enough, he thought he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired and he felt he ought to be going to bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of the mountain. It's a very tall mountain, isn't it? But as he looked down over the other side, he slipped. And there wasn't any other side of the mountain. He was falling in thin air. What do you think he's going to have to do? It's kind of scary, isn't it? But luckily, he kept his wits and his purple crayon. He made a balloon and he grabbed onto it. That was smart thinking of Harold, wasn't it? And he made a basket under the balloon big enough to stand in. He had a very fine view from the balloon, but he couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see his house. What do you think he's going to do next? So he made a house with windows, and he landed the balloon on the grass in the front yard. None of the windows was his window. He tried to think of where his window ought to be. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made a whole city full of windows. That's a lot of windows, isn't it? But none of the windows was his window. He couldn't even think where it might be. But look, he still has the moon back there in the middle of all the windows. He decided to ask the policeman, and the policeman pointed the way Harold was going anyway. But Harold thanked him. And he walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in his bed. Then suddenly, Harold remembered. What do you think he remembered? Let's find out. He remembered where his bedroom window was when there was a moon. It was always right around the moon. And Harold made his bed. He got in it and he drew up the covers. Look at him drawing up the covers right there. The purple crayon dropped to the floor, and Harold dropped off to sleep. Isn't that a fun story? I love Harold and the Purple Crayon. I hope you enjoyed it too. I love you, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.